Hello and welcome all prospective listeners to episode 3 of the Redeye Airwaves.
Oh.
It
Yeah, it's
is.
true. Fuck it, cold open. Alright, today we're going to be discussing chapter foureeeee of
Oh.
Murky Number 7,
Four.
aka The Sinner.
The question is who the sinner is.
Probably Murky. He's a bad boy.
Every
He steals.
previously mentioned character in the story so far.
I think every character he's come across is like morally good, except for Murky. Murky keeps disobeying orders.
He steals.
Yeah, he steals.
I mean, it's hard to deny.
Murky's chaotic evil. Make
He,
makeshift weapons.
He's
Prison.
too mild to be chaotic anything.
nah, he coated himself in muck and went around and spread it all around the factory.
He's mild evil.
Murky, what have we talked about rolling around the floor like that? We open with.
Well, last chapter, Loki was captured and was brought into Protégé's, well, under Protégé's wing, so to speak. Figurative, of course.
I believe the last line from Protege was take him straight to the mall, get him cleaned up, and get him something to eat. So that's where we are. We're going to the mall, getting cleaned up, and getting to eat.
And then, of course, they just really just spray him with water with powered hoses.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little bit more than spraying. It's like the fire hose. And he's just blasted and knocked down in ice cold water over and over again.
Sounds like fun.
Yeah, in a pitch black room with a spotlight over top of him so he can't see what's going on.
Or how many IQ points he's lost to concussions over the years?
I don't know. He's kind of resourceful in an uneducated way, so maybe not too many.
Sprayed with water a whole bunch of times, knocked down but not out. And then he gets to play with Shackles for a little while.
More like Shackles gets to play with him. A game with only losers, being Murky.
Oh yeah, the first game that Shackles plays with him is the water hose, and he just tells Murky to stand up, and then he knocks him down and he tells him to get up, and if he doesn't get up fast enough, he just blasts him again, and he never gets up fast enough.
It sounds like, those school bullies.
I think. Isn't Shackles being entirely fair there? If Murky just got up fast enough, he wouldn't get sprayed with the water.
What is fast enough?
Oh, obviously not Murky.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the point.
It's interesting to see that Shackles cares enough to find out a few details on Murky's life. What his name,
Yeah.
where he comes from.
Oh yeah, okay, you're talking about that.
That, yeah.
That is a weird thing. Like, I get the whole hating Pegasus stuff, but is everyone literally so brain dead to always jump to Murky being Enclave or being from the Enclave or having family in the Enclave like right off the bat?
Well, I mean, that's the point. Is that he's a rare and kind of weakened cast, so like everybody already has the bad impression about Pegasi, and if they can take that anger out on him because they're in such a miserable situation, it gives them like a way to vent. So everybody would rather believe that he is, connected to the Enclave and partially responsible for them being or stuck in their current situation and having to suffer. And by taking their anger and frustration out on him, they suffer a little bit less, or at least he suffers more.
For what he's done to them.
Yeah. I mean, it's not about giving him a fair shot, and it's not about thinking it through. It's about taking out their frustration. It's about being less miserable than something.
It's about feeling angry instead of sad.
Yep.
Maybe metaphorically, by the end of the story, we'll be on their side after Murky puts us through depression.
Which actually takes us to the next part of the story where they walk him around all across the camp and flaunt him.
Yeah, it was really weird when they put him in the maid outfit. Like, I kind of knew the story was going there, but I didn't expect it. And then paraded through the streets, and all of the raiders were like making lewd comments about his like maid outfit. Very weird, Fuzzy. I don't know what to make of it.
You're getting cut off there
I think
again.
you need to get your book checked.
Oh, that's why I had fanfiction.net pulled up. Yeah, that was my mistake. So he's paraded around. They threw stuff at him, right? Like, just pelts and crap.
A handful of people threw things at him. One specifically mentioned blue-coated, red-maned Earth Pony used a makeshift slingshot to huck a brick at him.
Really creative of him. The part of the not story, but the part that I wouldn't say confused, but wasn't quite entirely sure why, was the one with the male. Like, why would she even make herself a target like that? That was a bad idea. Well, when she showed up and basically was all, "Hey, he's good. Don't hurt him and stuff."
Yeah, I mean, she stood up to the master himself, like shouting him down because the master was calling him slave, and she stood up and shouted that he has a name.
But what is her name?
Seriously, that would just get him bullied 10 times more.
Exactly.
Yeah, but she's trying to stand up for someone that she believes deserves it.
Then she gets bricked to the face and then dies.
No.
I mean, she should mitigate risks and losses. Standing up, painting a target on her back, painting a target on Murky. That's a bad idea.
I mean, Murky already had a target painted on him. All she did was incriminate herself by being friendly to him, so I have to wonder what kind of condition she's in now, having sided with him and being out there amongst the mob that hates him.
True. Hopefully her friend can protect him. Her. Sorry.
I don't know. Didn't she say that her friend went to the pit?
Yeah, and that she had like to stay behind to wait for the very, 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 very dead friend of hers.
Yeah. So like, I wonder if her friend was one of the contestants that fought on the day that Murky was there, but the only guy that fought and died during all of that was Daffodil.
Well, that's from Murky's side of the pit. What about the other side of the pit?
Well, he also saw the people who were fighting inside, is what I'm saying. Like, there were no other male ponies that fought that day. That doesn't mean that he went there or that he wasn't already dead by that point, because he doesn't specify when her friend left.
True.
But it's possible he was sitting in the other side when everything went down.
Big true.
Another thing I don't quite understand is why there's a certain pattern with Murky where whenever someone mentions his nameless friend, he basically stands up and disobeys everything and, like behaves like a normal pony. But the question is why? Why would he do that?
He's really thirsty. I mean,
No.
his entire life, he's had literally nothing, and then a pretty mare comes along, actually talks to him, and then all of a sudden he's ready to like break out and destroy the world, dismantle the system of oppression.
I was actually thinking more in terms of it's if he reacts differently to her, it's a show of weakness, I would say, or at least a vulnerability that can be exploited later. And we know Shackles will probably use that against him.
I believe that Shackles does.
Now, he mentioned the mare, but he didn't do anything with her, actually.
Yeah, he said, if you so much as hint to Protege about our little time together, I promise you the mayor will be getting a visit earlier than you might think. So he actively threatens Murky in that way, realizes he can hold it above Murky's head. Because Murky's quite small and it's not that difficult.
Yeah, but what's Mookie's reaction? I believe he stands up and,
No, the chain pulled me before I could even back up. He just threatened the one mare I knew I wanted to protect. The surprise made him cease pulling as I stood up of my own accord. I was a coward. No doubt I would beg once we were inside.
So he stood up straight.
Yeah, it looks like it threatens him, but it's not gonna like break him. He can still find solace in the fact, that he hasn't hurt her.
Mm-hmm.
He's
But-
really only scared of being sprayed with water.
Yes.
Well, his association with her will definitely hurt her.
I mean, probably, but if Murky doesn't suffer, then it's not Murky.
So I see it having a few ways. Either her friend dies and she gives up, she comes back and escapes with Murky when she realizes her friend is dead, or something just horrible happens to her. Because I feel like it would be kind of poetic if she kicked the bucket and Murky never learned her name. That would be sad.
Very.
Proper Murky sadness.
I'll bug Fuzzy to know a name. I must know.
I'll just say keep reading.
Orange
So-
The
soda.
name won't be in there.
So after the parade, we arrive at the mall.
Yep.
The mall being filled with raiders, and is where Murky will spend 2 years of his life in order to gain his freedom.
A group of very helpful raiders see that there are kind of like diseased
Appendages.
appendages attached to his body, and they hold him down and try to remove them from Murky.
If I can just point out, when they're going through the mall, he gets to, like, the master drags him to a balcony. And yeah, so the raiders specifically have settled in the bottom on the lower floors of this mall. And I love the idea of all the raiders being sequestered into this pit in the bottom of the mall. Like everything is sunken down because they enter on the ground level. And so I'm assuming these are lower floors.
I think
And
it was a
the
parking
master
lot.
throws him from up there into the chanting crowd of raiders.
Meat back on the menu, boys. Don't go there. That is ye old GameStop where the raiders live.
Yup.
Or maybe everything looks so high to Murky when Shackles was holding him. So even a small
Uh,
indent in the ground was like, whoa!
2 levels of shops made up along the outer edges, reachable by a stairwell at either side near the back.
We had a Lion King moment, but he just dropped him.
Yeah,
I thought he
exactly.
kicked him, and he
He
landed
bucked
in the
him, no?
fountain.
I think he bucked him.
Oh, publicly on the balcony in the maid outfit.
Yeah.
And then who comes in to swoop in and save the day?
Nobody, because the raiders surround him and they start trying to figure out what they're gonna do, and everybody begins to chant, "Rip his wings off."
The master also has the ability to vomit weapons.
What?
The master spit a rifle back to a subordinate. Spit is this case because he had it in his mouth, but I like the idea of him just immediately regurgitating a rifle.
That would be terrifying.
Shackles is considerably more scary. They're pulling the wings off of Murky. And then Brimstone flies in and starts murdering.
At this
By the-
time, still known as Number 6, the massive red stallion.
Oh, that's true. We don't know his name until
Until after he takes him to his own little cozy nest.
Well, that way, all one person who's listening who hasn't actually read the book knows that it's that Brimstone is also Number 6.
you can't have this maid. It's mine. Drags him.
She needs to clean my house, not yours.
So what? Oh, remind me. What store does Brimstone live in?
Some clothing store, I think?
Yeah, is it a dress store?
Something like that.
Let's
Let me see
see.
if I can find it.
I know there were mannequins. I think I mentioned mannequins.
Well, regardless, we got a bit of backstory from Murky back then when Shackles was questioning him, and now we get some backstory from Brimstone. It's an interesting idea that he was basically a raider king, and he decided
Okay.
to stop.
Most of the merchandise had gone, but a few old posters showed images of various forms of clothing. I saw dresses on pretty unicorn mares, tall, strong bucks wearing suits, and other more casual attire. So yes, I believe it is a clothing store.
Brimstone is. Maybe that's the. Oh yeah, I suppose. Since I'm a little brain dead since I haven't slept much, but that's what the center chapter name is referring to. Brimstone
that makes
is
sense.
the proverbial sinner who's seeking redemption
Mm-hmm.
for killing hundreds of ponies.
Well,
And now we
maybe
discover
1,000.
possibly.
If we're lowballing it.
Because, I mean, well, we haven't gotten to that part yet. Get there in just a second.
Yeah, I mean, we finally discover another vulnerability of his. When I say, never mind. Anyway,
I like the middle picture of like him saving Murky and then being like, I've killed so many ponies. I'm gonna show you a secret. Come to my back room. And then he shows Murky a mare on a couch in the back and he says, look, do you see?
Yep. She's his weakness, his vulnerability.
She has the. Did they talk about her cutie mark?
I can't recall.
I know she talks about Murky's cutie mark, and she says, what a beautiful cutie mark because she's suffering from heavy delirium.
Yep. maybe she saw butterflies instead. I like to imagine that in her state, everything looks like Pyrovision from Team Fortress 2.
I could have sworn they mentioned Hercule as the orbs, but I don't know if that's just.
No, I think she was surrounded by orbs.
Yeah, she was surrounded by them.
Gotcha. I wonder what happens if you go unconscious while you're in a memory orb.
You dream the memory on loop.
I remember it being not necessarily a nice experience for Little Pip sometimes. So it's probably not like super conducive that you're quite sick and having to are spelunking memory orbs on the side.
Well, I mean, she's probably gone through those plenty of times before.
So that's one thing. Where did she get all of them from?
Not much, but a small case filled with twinkling and sparkling orbs.
That is a pretty rare find out here in Philly Deli
Yeah, I have no idea.
and Felipe.
Maybe that will be revealed in the future.
Ooh ooh. Shows Murky Gloom Glam. Murky talks Gloom Glam a little bit. The first conversation he has with Brimstone afterwards is, so you and her, I mean, are you two, are we what? You know, together? Is that why you stopped raiding? How old would you place Brimstone?
Late 40s, early 50s.
46 is a good number.
Yeah, I think so too. Something like 45 plus. He got a little old now.
Definitely feels like grizzled war vet.
I think he could be in his 50s.
After that, he goes back to talk to Protege again. They have an interesting conversation.
He gets him his stuff back, right? His goggles and whatnot.
Yep. Gets his goggles, his barding, and his Pip Boy 9000.
Buck.
Pip. Foreleg. And Protege absolutely schools him with philosophy, and that Protege would be completely fine if they were actually wrong and Little Pip was right. And also, finally, Murky learns the name Little Pip.
Yep.
So, do we want to play some bets? I like betting. Will Murky ever meet Little Pip during the course of this novel?
No.
He's already met her as much as he's going to.
Sadness. Will Murky meet anybody from Fallout Equestria during the course of this novel? That's not like just Redeye.
Maybe.
I feel like there's a possibility he could meet Zenith.
Zenith?
Was it Zenith?
The zebra, yeah.
Yeah, Zebro.
I think he'll meet Homage.
How much would it be bad? Because he's been listening to DJ Pwn 3.
Yep.
It would be interesting if he made it to 10 Pony Tower.
I want to say something, but that's about chapter 5, so I won't.
He crawled his way there.
Call out through the fallout.
Back to me. He talks with Protege. They have some kind of a philosophical conversation a little bit. He learns Little's name, goes back to Brimstone. So at this point,
Oh, he also supplies him with some Redeye, I believe, to control his condition, and he bravely decides to give it to Glimmerlight.
Um, Protege actually suspects Chainlink of doing something bad and asks Murky about it, but Murky denies it. And I think there was one other footnote. Oh,
like,
yeah, just the letter.
I feel like at some point he's gonna tell Protege what's going on, and Protege's gonna be like, "It'll just make you a stronger pony." Or
Oh, that's the ultimate betrayal.
I feel like
Well,
Protege's not dumb.
yeah.
He is naive, though.
He is naive, and he's keeping, like, he tells Murky straight out that Chainlink is kind of a necessary evil that he keeps around to control the raiders. But I don't think he's fully aware of the how much it's bleeding over to the rest of his quote workers.
Would Regini not notice and then tell him?
I don't think she cares.
Yeah, I can't imagine her being too worried about it.
I would like to see Regini fight against Shackles in an ultimate show of betrayal by Shackles.
I feel like she would just put him down.
I get the feeling Shackles is gonna die. I don't think he's gonna last too terribly long.
I think he will last for basically the entire novel. Like, he's basically the
I think he'll be around for a few more chapters, and then there will be some new earth-shattering event that will potentially leave Murky in worse hands and maybe kill Shackles.
Murky gets an upgrade from Shackles to Redeye, the
Um,
personal maid of the person who runs Philadelphia.
no, but Shackles was made for Murky, or rather the other way around. Murky was made to be Shackles' slave
To be a
and then
slave.
escape.
yeah, I mean, have we talked about their personalities? Did we touch on that at all last time?
Not particularly.
Because Murky has the obedient, submissive kind of streak going on, and Chainlink is excessively dominant and assertive. Yeah. I mean, you're taking it that way, but I'm talking about just behavior patterns. But knock yourself out there, kiddo.
I like that his name is Shackles too, given
Mhm.
Murky's cutie mark of Shackles.
Well, it's funny because his cutie mark is also Shackles. It's just a perfect chain. Well, it's a closed chain.
I feel like Murky's at some point like might do a recurring thing where he manages to get some freedom from Shackles again. Shackles shows back up, manages to get away from Shackles a little bit. Shackles shows back up. Like
Yeah, I mean,
Murky's like, ah, no, not again.
like,
It's his destiny.
it would be good if there was some sort of like the aforementioned earth-shattering event, and Shackles didn't explicitly die. He just kind of disappeared, and Murky doesn't know what happened to him, because then he would still have to deal with the shackles in his head kind of thing. Because that's what
Interesting.
the whole getting to know him speech was, the whole asking him his name, where he's from, all of that. Because it wasn't, what's your name? And then Murky said Murky. It was, no, your name is Slave. and you are that now. It's not, where you came from and where you've been. It's you are here now, and this is where you're staying. Like, I mean, that the whole interrogation was just Shackles trying to entrench himself in Murky's mind as being this sort of unbreakable barrier that he's never going to get through, never going to get around, never going to overcome.
He was trying to break him down and build him back up again the way he wanted
No building him back up, just breaking him down.
it.
Where there's a whip, there's a way.
Oh yeah, because Shackles did bring the whip down on Murky during the interrogation, and left no mark because he is an artist with them apparently.
After all of that jazz, we get back to Brimstone, and Brimstone's got a plan.
Finally, a plan that isn't Murky's.
Shove Murky into the air ducts.
And that's how you get rid of him. Perfect.
Murky crawls around and opens a door. And I forget what the door actually leads to of use.
So
Outside,
there is
right?
a back door to Blitz's to Brimstone's area where Glimmerlight is. There's actually a door that leads to the outside, and it's jammed up and wedged up. But Brimstone is convinced that if he could remove whatever was on the other side of the door that was keeping it pinned, he could actually knock it open. And so he tells Murky to go through the ducts, to get outside, to clear whatever's behind the door, and then knock 4 times, because 4 is a small number and Murky can probably count that high.
One too many lots. In other words, no, he can't.
No.
So he shoves Murky into the air ducts. Tells Murky that the secret passcode is knock 4 times.
And then it's just a little splunking adventure in the air ducts.
Murky crawls around and learns, after going over the master's quarters, that the master has a slave keeping an eye on Murky.
Who might that be?
I don't know. It might be someone that Murky meets in a little bit, and then like, I trust this person wholeheartedly.
Could be you. Could be me.
It's obviously not
Could
Brimstone.
Who knows? Well, those that read the next chapter know.
But that's a good question. Since Brimstone's smart, he probably only ever kills Raider guards because he realizes he can kind of get away with it. He's probably never killed the Master because the Master's not dumb enough to get near Brimstone.
Yep.
There is a lot of animosity between the two.
Oh yeah. I mean, one is the Raider warlord, and the other one is the savage master slaver.
One is the cultured person with authority, and the other is the Master.
I'm not sure if either of them are too terribly cultured. There is actually a little bit of dialogue between the master and the raider that's in his room, where he compares the way they do things. That Pegasus bastard can offer much more than just one quick event to me, Raider. I'm a slaver. I don't make my life by killing those I have control over.
Oh, is it specifically a Raider?
Yeah, I mean
I
the
thought it was a
person.
slave.
No, the person that was in his room is the acting head of the Raiders. Like
Okay.
that's who's quote in charge now. Now that there is another line.
Oh, now there is a vacancy.
No, it's something about their previous leader being on repentance or something along those lines. I can't find it.
Wouldn't that make it Blitz?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, Blitz was the previous warlord. Oh,
So
yes,
what you're
under some
saying?
kind of repentance crusade.
So what you're saying is there's a power struggle subplot.
Yes.
Yeah, you are not out there anymore. I keep you from the worst of things because you are useful to me. You keep the various packs of your kind down there in line now that their old leader is under some repentance crusade.
Murky then keeps crawling along. Happens to fall into, or not, like willingly fall. He drops. There we go. Better word. Drops into a janitor's office.
Yep, some kind of
He finds a corpse and then he makes the big mistake of, it's just a fresh looking corpse that isn't a skeleton after all of these centuries. It's just very well preserved.
I think it's kind of like gaunt, atrophied looking, but
I just would
yeah, it's
not.
still
If it's
intact.
if it's not a skeleton, I don't trust it.
I mean,
Maybe it's just taking a nap.
It
Did you
is.
really
It is
trust the
just taking a nap.
skeletons,
I. I suppose not.
no, never trust a skeleton.
If the
There's
skeletons.
one.
Go ahead.
Well, there's one inside you right now.
Yeah, you can never be too careful.
Reminds me of the such a great character concept, the Fallout New Vegas, old world blues, harnesses, where they're just suits with skeletons inside running around, still like automated to fight.
Oh,
It was
Oh,
really
I don't know
yeah.
anything about that.
So in Old World Blues, they for Big Mountain they had to develop something to keep soldiers still fighting, or like get them out of combat. Let's say they're injured and they need to bring them back for medical surgery, medical stuff, save lives. So they made these harnesses, which are these powered little like spaceship-looking suits, spaceman suits. But it backfired because when the bombs drop, the suits just kind of bugged out and they don't have anywhere to return to, so they just stay active and stay fighting. They have combat protocols. So the harnesses, they're these little, kind of like fish dome heads, and they just have skeletons rattling around inside because all of the people are long dead, but the suits are still active and fighting.
Goodness.
It's really messed up. And because of that, they're completely silent, so you just see people standing around not saying a single word, and then they just turn and start firing at you.
Huh. That is neat.
But he finds the corpse, decides to not poke it a little bit, but loot through its stuff.
Well, he's looking for the key to the door because he can't get out of the room.
He's a little gravedigger.
It's not stealing if they're dead.
But they're not dead, so it is stealing.
Fair enough.
What about Brain Dead?
Karma lost. Hey, come now. We call those Pegasi, not brains.
No, those are feather-brained.
There you
Terrible.
go. Corpse is still alive, and Murky starts freaking out, as I think anyone would, when it starts gnawing and gnashing and trying to get him.
He's
I
just
believe it
doing a
starts-
brave. He's just doing a brave tactical retreat.
I mean, it starts like clawing and dragging itself over towards them in the small confines of the janitor's closet, howling
Brave.
and wailing.
Tactical retreat.
Step 1, panic. Step 2, panic some more.
Step
Then
3, climb.
Manages to break out in time though and get outside.
Yeah, he panics his way right through the door.
And then immediately the most sketchy character.
A bright young earth pony buck of cold blue and fiery red mane. And that
Oh,
description definitely isn't from anywhere else.
I was wondering why you remember that.
Yeah, because like when I read it the first time, I like gave an image to that, and then when I read it the second time, I go, "That's awfully familiar." I just automatically assumed it was the same person, and I'm like, "Wait, didn't he throw bricks at you?" And as it turns out, he did.
I'm impressed with your recall ability, especially your visualization ability.
I mean, that's just
Definitely.
I can't help it. That's why I read so slow.
Did we talk about that in the previous episode? I think
I
we did.
don't think we did we?
Yeah, I think we
Spoke.
brushed
I
over.
think we spoke about it only after.
Okay.
Yeah, a little bit on the after and a little bit on the before.
Well, for listeners, a little bit of a meta knowledge thing, but we were having a discussion about what we visualize when we read. I visualize nothing because I kind of can't. I have a anesthesia, I think, a little bit. Synesthesia, one of those.
I have no idea.
Our friend Kairos here, however, visualizes everything.
Yeah, when I read it, I just automatically go to like theater of the mind mode and play it out like a movie. Background characters, scenery, everything.
That sounds like fun.
Yeah,
I
that's
do
why
that
I like
sometimes.
reading.
I do that sometimes too, but only if I'm really in the groove.
I cannot.
Otherwise, it doesn't work.
My brain broke.
It's probably for the best because I ruined my eyes doing it, so.
He meets the bouncing ball pony and learns their name is Flippy Bit, which is actually an adorable name.
Yeah,
That's a really good pony name.
it is.
And Flippy Bit immediately is like hitting Murky with the old salesman style. Say, kid, you're right there, kid. Can I help you, kid? And then slowly getting progressively more creepy.
No, he starts out being friendly. And,
And then he gets suspicious.
And immediately raises Murky's shirt.
Joking.
yeah. He said that he asked if he knew him from somewhere.
Hey, kid, that's a nice fleece you got there, kid. Can I feel it?
Oh, I was a fleece. I forgot.
I feel like, well, I don't have to feel like he literally goes to talk to Murky because he thinks that he recognizes him.
No, I think he originally goes over there because Murky is freaking out and, like, panicking and being distressed. And then when he gets closer and they start talking, he goes, "Do I know you from somewhere? Could swear we've been near each other on shifts, I'd remember a pony as small as you."
Once Flippybit sees that he is a Pegasi, by lifting up his shirt, he immediately gets out the shank knife.
Yep.
Smart thinking. You can't trust someone who hides his identity.
Yeah. You wouldn't be trying to hide it if there was nothing to hide.
They have a quick little chase to the door where Murky knocks 3 times, and then Flippybit hits Murky, which thumps against the door for the 4th time, even though Murky thought it was 3.
Yep, because he can't count.
I can't read.
He can't read either.
Maybe his name isn't Murky Number 7. Maybe he can't count, so it's actually just Murky Number, I don't know, 2.
I can't have a stable, peaceful life.
Which
His
actually
eyes
begs
were
the
wide, but his pupils were small. He shook with bitterness and psychotic rage. All I know is my old folks were never wrong. You gave all of us to this waste. And then Murky screams back, but I didn't. And then he screams back, I don't care. You're one of them.
You know the meme where they're jumping over like the floor of the school, kind of like in a "Don't touch the lava" style. The
Wait, no.
so it's a common meme where it just shows somebody in the school hallway and they're doing like a 10-foot jump in the air kind of
Oh,
thing.
yeah.
They've
Okay, yes, I know what you're talking about.
So the floor is
Yeah.
labeled a happy story, and the person jumping in the air is named Murky.
Yeah, that's appropriate.
Flippy blames Murky for all of his misfortune.
I mean, he was raised to believe it by his parents, by everyone.
Brimstone destroys the door, and the door slams and obliterates Flippy Pit.
Yeah, Brimstone just knocks the door open and walks out like, Murk, what happened? And then Murky's screaming. And then he sees the door kind of swing closed.
I've imagined Murky just like screeching on the ground.
I mean, he screams, Brim, behind you! And the raider doesn't seem to, like, get it. He just kind of looks around. And then he closes the door. And then the lifeless body of Flippy Bit falls to the ground, having been pinned behind the door.
Brimstone's like, what is this thing? Oh, it's Murky.
typical Murk.
Typical Murkikins. But the door's open now. Murky succeeded.
Yeah.
It's a good thing.
First successful mission he's ever embarked on.
Things can't go wrong from this point forward.
Yep, it's going to be nothing but clear skies and smooth sailing.
Sunshine and rainbows. Though actually, his reaction to his first successful mission is to cut off his wings.
Oh yeah, Brimstone asks him, "Do you want to cut your wings off?" And Murky like seriously considers it. Like, that's not a bad idea. See.
Disease appendages.
Then we find out Brimstone looked at Murky's journal.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone keeps invading his privacy, seriously.
They won't come near you, her or your little mare book.
Yes. The mayor book.
Because patience isn't his strong point.
And then Murky consoles themselves and says, "I'm gonna follow you out of here yet, little Pip." And gains a new perk for seeing in the dark.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that's everything. Is there anything more specific you want to talk about in the chapter, or maybe your thoughts about Chapter 5, which we have not at all looked at or read yet?
Yeah, nobody's read Chapter 5.
In the slightest?
None. There's a chapter 5.
I never knew.
I think there's a few. I don't know about 5. That's kind of a big number. I think there's, since it's Murky Number 7, I would bet there's 7.
Alright, there are probably 7 chapters. He says, looking over the book and realizing that if this is chapters 1 through 4, these are going to be some long chapters to review.
5 years from now, we'll finish Murky Number 7.
No, we're going to pick up the pace. I believe in us. Let me dream.
Nothing could possibly go wrong. rating, I'm gonna have to give it a 7. I actually really enjoyed this. I just felt it was well written, start to finish. Kairos?
I will also venture a 7. I liked um, I liked the back and forth. I liked getting to meet Brimstone and Murky's dialogue with Protege.
So a lot of development.
Yeah, I mean there was a lot of world building in this chapter, and that's what I really like to see.
Yeah, I agree. I like Protoge's conversation too, and Blitz's backstory, and we finally moved out of the slaver camp.
Well, we've moved to a different slaver camp.
Well, yeah, but
It's
now we have some more colorful neighbors.
there is no end to the slavers, Murky. There's just a bigger slaver.
I am a little bit sad to see Wicked Slit go. I was looking forward to more banter between the two of them back and forth that I could laugh at, but
Well, don't worry. I talked to Fuzzy on the down low about my idea of shipping Wicked Slit and Murky, and he said, of course, God, no. But I'm interpreting that in a good way.
Well, she might show up again some other time.
Yeah.
She'll probably be like a footnote if she's not. If she's not a main character again, then definitely a footnote. What rating would you give this chapter? You also,
I liked it. It was pretty good.
I'll put you down as an 8.
I'm gonna put that as Muffin on a bicycle.
Is that like a 9? Or is it an 8 because of the bicycle, wheels? Let me go with 8. Maybe 8.5. Any closing thoughts and sentiments? Anything y'all want to talk about?
You're a cutie.
No, you.
No, you.
Well, I think that does it then. We kind of covered the whole chapter.
Yep.
Yep.
Thank you all, listeners. This has been your host, Vex, with my co-hosts, Kairos and Yos.
Howdy.
Hey, we did our introduction this time, but we got it. Perfect.
And
It only
we'll
took 4 tries.
we'll see you next month with Chapter 5. That's all, folks.
I think we're on a good pace here.